From the sewers of Gotham, a new villain emerges.
You didn't invite me, so I crashed!
From the rooftops of Gotham, the perfect enemy comes to life.
I am Catwoman. Hear me roar. Yeah.
And the only one who can save this city is a creature of the night.
Kyle, you better not make me mad or I'm going to really jingle your bells. Anyway, welcome back to another episode
Man smells
of We Don't Know What to Watch. And this is our giant size special holiday edition number 2. So it's not as worth as much as number 1.
No, but, well, it's also a sequel, so...
Yeah, so I guess it depends. I mean, if number 1 sold like 9 million copies or something, then it's worth next to nothing. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to try and get... this should be posted on Christmas Day, because this is our Christmas holiday episode for 2019. We don't know what our schedules are. Maybe we'll miss some holidays, but
That's
hey,
okay.
we've hit Halloween and now Christmas for this year.
We didn't do Thanksgiving, but
there's not a lot of Thanksgiving movies. We could do Planes, Trains, and Automobiles next year.
or Thanksgilling.
Well, there you go. I bet we could find some Thanksgiving movies to talk about. Anyway, we didn't do that this year.
Yes.
We're very busy people,
Yes.
and this is just our hobby. We don't get paid for this.
Not
Unless
yet,
you want to
anyway.
sponsor us, we'll gladly take your money.
Promo code WATCH.
So what did we this special Christmas episode? What did we watch for this?
I don't know. We should introduce ourselves first. And with me
Who am I?
is the cold miser to my heat miser, Kyle Mulford, and I'm Noah Saturn.
I'm Mr. Cold.
I'm too much.
Well, actually, before we get into the movie, this is our first Christmas holiday episode. So, what are some of your viewing habits for Christmas?
Charlie Brown Christmas
Classic.
and Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny.
Never even heard of that.
That's a very bizarre film from the 1970s that was supposed to advertise a theme park called Pirates World. But basically, what happens is that Santa gets stuck in Florida, and all the reindeer leave him and they go home. So then he has to get rescued by the Ice Cream Bunny, but first he's hanging out with a bunch of kids on a beach. And then, they try and rescue him with the help of, a donkey, a dog, a gorilla, trying to get his sleigh th But then he waits for rescue from the Ice Cream Bunny. He sits down and he tells them a story. And it's either a story of the story of Thumbelina or the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, depending on which version you watch.
Okay.
And no, the story doesn't have anything to do with anything. And at the very end, he's rescued by the Ice Cream Bunny who's driving a fire truck.
What is this fever dream you had? I think you're making this up.
This is a real film, but I would definitely recommend the Riff Tracks version. They have done a studio version and a live version, and each are different versions of the film. So
Interesting.
it is like a choose your own adventure of a movie.
Nice. We here, my wife she loves Christmas, so that's her thing. So we own we own a ton of Christmas movies. We actually last year we went and bought a lot of them that we still didn't own yet.
Like Holiday in Handcuffs?
Yeah, totally.
Starring Mario Lopez and Melissa Joan Hart.
Yes, and we bought Christmas with the Cranks and all the classics. Oh,
If you could see my face, it's a grimace.
no, but we watch all the the classics like The Grinch, Charlie Brown Christmas. Well, not The Grinch, the new one, which that is on Netflix, and my wife did watch that with our girls. But How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Charlie Brown Christmas, the Frosty, Rudolph,
Jack Frost, the horror film.
Year Without a Santa Claus. So all of those shorts and stuff. And I introduced my wife. She was skeptical at first, but I won her over because she had never heard of Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. And I was like, I watched that every year as a kid. I think it was on cable and she didn't have cable. So that's another one that we watch every year. And then we'll have a smattering of like the movies.
Like Shrek the Halls.
No, we don't watch any of the new stuff like that. Other than I will say that Prep and Landing and Prep and Landing 2, I think were instant classics. They're fantastic. And then we watch Elf every year. And I talked about that in our last,
She talked about that in a different
podcast. It may or may not come out before or after this. Who knows? What else? I think she watched A Christmas Story with them. I haven't watched that this year. So all the classics, we're a Christmas household here, full on in December. My wife tries to get Christmas music on before, I really like to have it. I tell her
make her hold the line.
Well, I tell her she can watch it or listen to it any time of the year. As long as I'm not in the room if it's before Halloween. That's where I put my foot down, is before Halloween.
I would put my foot down at December 1st, but
October is scary movie month. No room for Christmas music.
I don't know. Scary movies are for always.
They are for always, but I go a little full bore with October though and watch even more.
I would recommend Jack Frost the horror movie. It's not good, but it's fun.
I bet. So not Jack Frost,
not the Michael Keaton one.
Which could also be a horror movie.
I think so. But this one was about a serial killer who then dies in a weird chemical accident when he's being transported to his death sentence or whatever. And then he gets his DNA gets combined with the snow so that he can turn into a snowman but also turn into water. And
he's the Sandman, only snow.
Yes. And then he goes around trying to get revenge on the small town sheriff that caught him. Basically, it's like if Sheriff Andy caught the Joker.
Nice.
Which is an awesome premise, so it almost works. But the reason that this film, I guess, has any bit of notoriety was because of the VHS cover. And if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This had a 3D VHS cover.
Yes.
Where you looked at it, or not holographic, not 3D.
Yeah.
Where you looked at it from one side, he was a regular snowman. Looked at it from the other side, he was all teeth and scary looking.
Yeah. I remember that from going... Remember those video rental places?
They're still around.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of places that don't have them anymore, I think. But we've got a family video here in North Liberty, which I like to go to sometimes. There's nothing like going to... thumbing through Netflix and Amazon Prime is just not the same as...
Especially when it starts autoplay, and that's really annoying.
Yeah, it's just not the same as going and, looking at all the box covers and reading the backs of boxes and shouting across the store, hey, how about this one? But anyway, I digress. What did we watch for this holiday episode? Die Hard?
No, we watched the greatest Christmas film of all time, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
Yes. Sorry, I had to say that with disdain just because I'm tired of the whole Die Hard as a Christmas
It's become a meme at this point.
It's become just stupid now.
But
it was fun when it was still fun, and now it's just really annoying.
Yeah.
I say...
Good movie, though.
I say if you want to keep arguing that, go to something that actually has more to do with Christmas and argue that Lethal Weapon is a good Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Because they even end with them at the Murtaugh's house celebrating Christmas.
Or Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yes, anything Shane Black.
Shane Black really likes LA at Christmas time.
Yes. But no, we didn't watch either of those. We watched a movie about a city that is just trying to light the Christmas tree in the town square.
And then all this weird stuff keeps happening to them.
And they're trying to light it without people shooting up everyone.
Yeah, it's like a Hallmark Christmas movie. They all have 4 plots. One's about a guy that looks like a penguin. One's about a guy that dressed as a bat. One's about a woman dressed as a cat. And the 4th is Christopher Walken.
And the 5th is trying to light that goddamn tree.
Yes.
Of course, we're talking about Batman Returns. And yes, we have talked about the
Batman 89.
Batman 89 in another giant size special, but that was just our regular giant size special.
Yes.
That we just spattered
with
randomly
whatever we
throughout.
choose.
So this is our Christmas movie pick. And a good one it is. It's been a while since I've revisited this movie. And I kind of, after watching it, I liked it when it came out, but now after watching this and rewatching Batman, I kind of wish Tim Burton had done a 3rd and 4th Batman movie.
Yeah, But, whatever.
We got Batman Returns where, you know what? We'll save that because that may end up being another giant size special.
Yeah.
Because we got to get through all the Batman movies, right?
Eventually.
So no, this one was fun to revisit and just bizarre.
It's very much, I guess they had Burton on a leash for Batman 89, but for Batman Returns, it's almost like pure uncut Burton.
Yeah, and he says in his commentary that he probably wouldn't have even done it if they had tried to do it back to back, because he just didn't really want to do it again. So like he went on and did, I think, Edward Scissorhands in between Batman and Batman Returns, and then he's like, oh, okay, well, you know what, I'd kind of like to revisit this and use these characters. And he's even said, so if you've watched the movie, the Penguin is quite literal. Like,
this is Tim Burton's Penguin. This is not like Bill Finger's Penguin or Norm Brayfogel's Penguin or Denny O'Neil's Penguin.
Because he even says in the commentary that like he's never been a fan of the Penguin in the comics or in in any form. And they kind of make fun of like the whole top hat and cigarette on a stick thing, because there is one scene in the movie where they put a cigarette in his mouth and he spits it out. But he's like, well, what if we make it like almost like he's literally deformed to the point of almost being a penguin, and then he's raised by penguins? So maybe we should just go. It starts out going into this mansion of the Cobblepots, and you get a brief cameo by Paul Rubens, aka Pee-wee from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And also, did Burton direct Pee-wee's Big Top Pee-wee?
I'm not sure if he did. I don't think so.
But yeah, so he worked with him again anyway, because he did do Big Adventure, and his wife is having a baby in the back room, and then you never actually see the baby in this. It's this monstrosity, apparently.
They're all horrified.
They leave it in a cage.
Leave it in like a cage little box thing, and then like...
It grabs the cat and kills it.
Grabs the cat, pulls the cat in the cage, and eats the cat.
So the mom and dad take a walk to the abandoned zoo and throw him in a river, and he goes into the sewers, and and he's greeted by a bunch of penguins.
And that's kind of our credit sequence, is kind of him going through the sewers with all this, Danny Elfman, turning it up to Danny Elfman levels.
And the score is, you get a lot of... Danny Elfman had to bring back the Batman score, but like he also got to give themes to like Catwoman and Penguin, so like there's a little more to it this time. And
very meaty score. I really enjoyed the score.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. We get the credits over the carriage just kind of floating through the sewer. I think there's some miniature work in there and stuff. And then he's adopted by the penguins in the zoo. And what's interesting about this is there were some mechanical penguins, but they actually flew in some real penguins for this movie. And it was all done, like most of the movie was done on sets.
Yeah.
In LA. And it's like 100 degrees outside, but they kept the sets at like 35 degrees. So like when they have snow on the ground in there, I'm sure it's still fake snow, but it's as cold as it looks, because they had to keep it down to like 35 or so for the penguins to be comfortable, which I found kind of interesting. It's like, okay, we're going to make everyone freeze on set so we can have real penguins. That's nice. Awesome.
It is kind of cool to see. So it is a great mix of real penguins and puppet penguins throughout the whole film.
Yeah. And then we cut to 33 years later, and we're at the lighting of the Gotham tree, and you've got like the extra read all about it guy talking about the penguin. Is he a man or myth? He's a penguin monster in the sewers. Is he also down with the giant crocodile?
Maybe.
Then we go, and then we meet Max Schreck. And yes, the name is an homage to like the Nosferatu.
The actor who played Nosferatu, also named Max Schreck.
Yeah. He's talking to the mayor about a new power plant, and Shrek's given and then Shrek goes down and gives a speech at the Christmas tree lighting. And
we also meet his assistant, Selena Kyle, she's
very meek and timid.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
And kind of just...
she tries to make herself small, tries to avoid kind of, speaking up or being noticed.
Yeah. And but she does try to speak up at one point, but then like she kind of gets nervous and says something, something small and stupid, and then like she even reprimands herself. Oh, what are you even thinking? That was stupid. And so yeah, she's a very meek character. But while Shrek's giving a speech, a giant present filled with crazy people comes out, and everybody
Not just any crazy people, circus crazy people.
Circus crazy people. And they start shooting up the place and
causing havoc because it's Gotham City.
And I wrote the get off my train guy comes out with a music box and starts like a machine gun comes out. So like the crank,
this great organ grinder with
an organ grinder like handle like to shoot the machine gun.
Don't forget the poodle lady.
And she comes later, I think.
She's part of the circus gang too.
Yeah, but the get off my train guy, I call him the get off my train guy, is Vincent Schiavelli.
He was a very, very
character actor in a lot of stuff.
He was in everything.
But I don't know if you know Ghost, but he'll always be the get off my train guy who trains Patrick Swayze to how to touch things, physical things, and it just like yells, "Get off my train!" So all this is going on, and they shoot up the bat signal into the air, and this was the thing I found kind of amusing. It goes up in the air, and then that triggers these giant metal things above Wayne Manor with like a giant bat on them shooting
like the all the reflection down, refracts the light here, there.
Right into his house. So no one must ever visit him. Otherwise it's going to be really obvious that he's Batman. Or else he's a really big fan of Batman. And he's just sitting there alone in his house, and apparently things must not have worked out with Vicky Vale from the first movie, which I do appreciate that they actually mentioned that later.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that they actually mentioned that when I watched this. I've watched Batman 89 a lot of times. I haven't revisited Batman Returns very often, and now I'm kind of like, maybe I should.
I'd seen Batman 89 before we reviewed it, and I've seen the Schumacher movies before, because they were the goofier, fun ones I was able to watch as a kid. But then for whatever reason, I was never allowed, or I never watched this one in particular, because I guess it was too dark.
Yeah, and there are some parts that get a little dark.
So this one was always kind of the weird one among the Batman movies. And I didn't really watch it for the first time until last year, and I really enjoyed it. So it's good to see it again this year.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so he's alone in Wayne Manor, so he goes out in the Batmobile, and we see new toys on the Batmobile, like a giant hydraulic lift that lowers out from the bottom of it to turn the car around.
Yeah, he does his Batman thing. He punches guys. He's got his gadgets. He does things here.
Yeah.
He sees like a flame blower guy, and then like he burns him to death with the
Yeah, and then Shrek gets kidnapped by the Penguin. And did we mention Shrek is played by Christopher Walken?
Yes.
So, you've got all these characters that dress up and look like penguins, dress up like cats, dress up like bats, and yet Shrek is still maybe the oddest duck of the group.
Yeah. And then, of course, when, Selena Kyle gets caught up, she gets caught by one of the bad guys, and we get a nice moment where she's introduced to Batman. She loses her glasses, gets caught by a bad guy. Bad guy's like, yeah, what are you going to do, or I'll shoot her? So Batman takes out, like, his grappling hook or whatever, shoots it. It's like, you missed. And then, of course, he pulls back from the wall and like
yanks part of the wall on.
Yanks part of the wall and hits him.
That was a massively strong grappling hook to go into the cement wall and to pull out a chunk.
I don't know. Maybe Gotham has poor infrastructure. Regardless, it's a cool scene and I liked it.
Yeah. Penguin blackmails Shrek because he lives in the sewers. So he's like, anything you flush down the toilet, I get.
Yeah, so, like this raw sewage and that's been contaminated by your factories or whatever.
And this shredded paper that we meticulously put together with tape. And so he wants help from Shrek. And Shrek goes back, and Selena opened some protected files to help with whatever Shrek's doing, and she realizes that the power plant is just a ploy to like drain power from Gotham, actually,
and then sell it back later.
And sell it back later. And he jokes about, I could have you killed, blah blah blah.
I really like this scene. Yeah. It's sort of like, he's weird, but there's a lot of dark humor in this film, which I think this is a great example of in this scene. Cause it's like, I could kill you, I could push you out the window, no one would know, but I'm not going to.
And then they laugh about it. Like, that's funny, you got me, and then
And then he just does.
And
She
then-
gets pushed out a window.
Boom. And she falls to her death, I guess? Like, because then she's licked by a bunch of cats and one nibbles on her finger and then she comes back to life.
And then she comes back and has this great scene in her apartment where she just starts to go.
Because she's like a cat lady.
She has a cat.
We see her apartment earlier. Which
She's got like stuffed animals, I guess, very
muted girly stuff.
very feminine, muted feminine.
But like and that was something he talked about on the commentary too, was like he wanted it to be like very young girl, feminine type, like that with the pinks and all that, but it was very also like muted pinks, and so it's just kind of dreary, kind of feminine and childlike, because she doesn't really have a great life. She just goes to work as a secretary and comes back, and she walks into her apartment. Hi, honey, I'm home. Oh, that's right, I live alone. And she greets her cat and is like, "Oh, what escapades have you been on tonight?"
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she goes back to her apartment after getting resurrected. So that's one life she's lost
Out of 9.
And she goes back and goes crazy because her answering machine has some like telemarketer trying to sell something from Shrek Industries or whatever.
And her boss just tried to kill her.
Her boss, Shrek, just threw her out a window.
And maybe she got some head trauma.
She fell pretty far. I'm sure she had more than head trauma there.
Yep.
And
that's kind of, I guess, maybe one of the key moments in the film where things start to get a little weird.
Yeah,
it's sort of this cat resurrection scene.
Because it does get almost supernatural, like this bizarre, weird, twisted world type thing where she can come back to life by these cats. There's nothing is explained about that. And then the penguin being born with a deformity of like, he's got like flipper hands, and then he's somehow
can still
raised by penguins.
Talk to penguins and understand penguins, and penguins understand him.
Yeah, and for some reason he still has the umbrella collection though. So like Burton poo-poos like everything else about the penguin, but he keeps that umbrella collection.
Well, that's kind of his shtick.
Because it's weird, Burton kept it in.
Maybe, and the penguin has his machine gun umbrella, so
Yeah, and his little helicopter umbrella.
Yep.
And while she goes crazy in her apartment, she finds a leather jacket and cuts it all up and stitches together a cat suit. And I like the little scene. She's got like this neon light in her.
It says like "Hello there."
Hello there, and then
after she's going crazy, she like punches out parts of it, so then it just says "Hell here" as we see through the window at the end of the scene.
Yeah,
and of course. Shout out to Bo Welch, the production designer on this film. He really sells it because Bo Welch is great. He worked with Burton a lot.
Yeah, and it has a very similar feel to, similar and different at the same time to the 89 Batman. It's continued on, but you feel like it's just another chapter instead of like a sequel. Yeah,
the city feels the same, but also kind of different because it's wintertime. There's snow everywhere. Things are just colder and harder. I don't know.
And the movie itself has a different feel because, like I said, with the Penguin and Catwoman, you're getting into more bizarre territory.
I was going to say it almost feels like a weird fairy tale between these three characters.
Yeah.
And I guess, trauma, dealing with trauma, unresolved trauma is always like weirdo outsiders because even though Bruce is a millionaire, he doesn't really talk to anyone that much. He doesn't have that really many friends except for Alfred. He had a relationship with Vicky, but then that didn't really work out. Selena's never had any really successful relationships either, just for whatever reason.
She's just too timid, and then after she's killed and gets this newfound, she
assertiveness,
takes
confidence.
like her cat lady status to a whole new level, and when she puts on this mask, she's got this newfound.
It's almost like a whole different persona.
Yeah, she can become someone more aggressive in this way.
Yeah.
And you kind of see throughout the movie her transformation because she's still at the beginning of becoming Catwoman. She's still timid as Selena Kyle, but just very confident and aggressive as Catwoman. But then it slowly kind of trickles down to her Selena profile where she starts getting that confidence that Catwoman has. So it's actually helping her become a stronger woman.
And of course, there's the whole whip thing and the tight leather and all the other implications it could have. But, that's kind of always been there. Batman has always been this weird sexual thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as Grant Morrison put it, the whole concept is pretty gay. It's baked right into it. And I think that's a good word for it. There's always been this weird undertone. It comes with the material.
Yeah. And speaking of the costume and the whip, I did appreciate the fact that Michelle Pfeiffer actually learned how to use that whip and became almost a master at it. So like when you see her whipping the heads off of mannequins, that's her doing that. And when she kind of like twirls it around her body and like catches it on her side and she's like whipping at the security guards and all that stuff, she learned how to do this and became a master of the whip. And also she's running around in this leather outfit with high heels, and she is running around in high heels and all this. So like she's quite impressive in this movie. The only time that it got me was when she first went crazy in her apartment, when she bashes up her answering machine and throws it on the ground. It's the one acting scene that was a little too over dramatic and over the top for me in the whole movie. Other than that, I love there's just enough.
Kyle, this is a movie about a guy who dresses up at a bat, who punches people, and a weird penguin man.
It wasn't about the overacting, because actually there's this perfect level of overacting in the whole movie. It was more her movement, and it was very like I can't describe
kind of stiff.
Very stiff and like not natural, and not like this whole movie's not natural kind of way, but kind of like an unnatural type of movement for being angry. It just felt off to me. That scene felt off to me, like the way she was acting. But then the rest of the film, she did this great job of going back and forth between her Catwoman persona and the Vicky Vale persona, not Vicky Vale, the Selena Kyle persona, and the in-between when she kind of like merges those two. And apparently she had to like think about where she was in the process, because they filmed all the scenes out of order. So that is even more impressive.
Yeah, and of course, Michael Keaton is doing great because he's Michael Keaton. Danny DeVito is having the time of his life, and he's really just making sure he doesn't get lost under all that makeup, because it was like a 4-hour makeup process for him every day.
Yeah, and apparently he stayed in character in between scenes and everything, so which would be kind of weird to have the Penguin staying in character, because this Penguin is not like just a ruthless businessman like in the comics and stuff, like, that owns clubs and all that stuff.
If anything, the Penguin is just kind of a gangster with a gimmick.
Yeah, in the comics and the old show and everything, he's a gangster with a gimmick. In this, he's kind of
he is his whole thing is like,
am
I man, am I animal?
Yeah.
Which side do I choose to give into?
And then he's also got like this weird, like he lived in the sewers so long that he's very over sexual with the women, like just like making lewd comments and all that stuff. So the whole plot with him blackmailing Shrek, then they work together, and then Shrek is going to try and make him become mayor, because he's like, then you could have like this whole town, we want the other mayor out.
Unlimited poontang.
Yeah, unlimited poontang, because I can see that you're sexually frustrated. He lures him down from the attic to go to like this surprise, inaugural thing, like with a bunch of people, by giving him this raw fish. And according to the commentary, that was for real.
Nice.
Like, he's really eating this raw piece of fish. So
maybe he just really likes sushi.
Yeah, who knows? But so that gross stuff there was really gross stuff for real.
And did he actually bite that guy's nose?
That I don't know. But that was great, though. I loved that scene where he goes down there, and it's this whole thing where they're going to like start dressing him up to play the role of mayor, and get him cleaned up and everything. And so he's got like these wardrobe advisors, and one of them is played, another Pee-wee's Big Adventure cameo is played by, now I can't think of her name. She plays Tina, the Alamo tour guide in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Nice.
And so she plays one of the wardrobe people, and then there's another guy, and he's making fun of the Penguin's look and going, yeah, you must not have mirrors down in the sewer or whatever. And he goes, could be worse. My nose could be gushing blood. And they all laugh. He laughs, and the Penguin laughs, and the toaster laughs. So I shot the toaster. No. They all laugh about it, and then he goes, wait, I don't get it. What does that mean? And Penguin bites his nose off and then runs back upstairs. That was a great scene.
And now we get our cool team up. And of course we get another scene where...
Jan Hooks, that was her name.
Jan Hooks, okay. But yeah, the interactions just between this three-way battle between Batman, who's trying to keep the city together, the Penguin, who's just trying to, I guess, looking for revenge, and then Catwoman, who's also looking for revenge. Penguin wants revenge against his parents and the city. Catwoman wants revenge against Max Schreck, who pushed her out a window, and she sees as kind of the reason for all of her problems. And then Batman, he already got his revenge in the last movie.
Yeah.
He got his revenge. He killed the Joker, the guy who killed his parents. So
apparently
his whole thing is like, now what? Now do I do this? He's almost, unless not vengeance, now he's seeking justice. Because that's kind of at the core of Batman. His oath as a child is to seek justice.
Yeah.
Because despite all the dark and grimness, Batman is ultimately built on hope.
Yeah, he wants to see Gotham City not need him anymore. Is the whole thing. Those are the best stories written, is where like he's trying because he wants Gotham City to not need him. So
and ultimately in some of the best Batman stories, he can be very compassionate.
Yeah. But we get this whole big scene where the circus guys are destroying the town again. The Penguin's whole thing is he comes out and he's fooling the public. He's pretending like he forgives his parents and he's looking for his parents, but he already knows who his parents are. I don't know how. It doesn't make any sense because he was thrown in the sewer as a baby and he was raised by penguins. How does he know this? I don't know. But so he goes on that ruse. So he's looking through all these birth certificates. But then you find out later what looking at all the birth certificates was for. But anyway, the whole city's being run amok with circus people
and he's
again.
Controlling the media. He's really good at sort of look at this kind of strange man who's just trying to become a man again, trying to figure out. He goes to the cemetery and finds his parents. He publicly forgives them all part of this charade and this kind of sham. He's all about manipulating the papers and everyone to thinking that he's a good guy while positioning the mayor as like this guy who can't even control a city because things keep blowing up, all these other crazy stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Also the poodle who walks up with a grenade and then walks back with the pin out of the grenade and blows up a building.
Yeah, that's a well-trained poodle there.
I just always really liked that scene. It was it's just not real, but then, it's a Batman movie. It doesn't always have to be super realistic.
Yeah. The city going into chaos here was a great scene because it converged into all three of the main characters meeting. So you've got Batman fighting off all the circus guys. And here's another case of Burton said that he got a lot of flack for the scene where Batman takes a stick of dynamite and there's a guy that he tries to punch and it doesn't even faze him. So then he sleight of hand puts dynamite on the guy's belly and throws him down into a sewer and he blows up. And he's like, well, I kind of felt like it was kind of cartoony and but I'm going, well, yeah, he did kill him though. So it's another one of those where it's like in Batman and Batman Returns, we're so with Murder Affleck or whatever in the Batman v Superman, we kind of forget that. No, do you remember when in Batman 89 when he went in and blew up an entire factory because he was trying to kill all of the bad guys? And then this one where he sticks a stick of dynamite on a guy's belly and throws him into the sewer. And
burns a different guy to death.
Yeah, and burns another guy to death. So, yeah. But, so he's doing all that. And then Catwoman's doing the whole destroying one of Max Schreck's, stores, his sporting goods store. And then she comes out and Batman
perpetually backflipping.
Yes. backflip. And then Penguin and Batman are there, and she just looks at both of them and says meow, and then the store blows up behind her because she had put a bunch of stuff in the microwave and all this stuff. But you get this whole scene where then Batman's there and he's like, okay, now I got to chase after these two guys. Penguin gets away on a flying umbrella.
He's like, I saw her first.
And then Catwoman climbs the building, and so
they fight. They have a flirt fight as Batman and Catwoman do.
Yeah,
he gets hurt. She falls into a greenhouse,
and then Catwoman approaches the Penguin after that. Oh yeah, because she stabs Batman, so he goes back home.
Yeah,
and licks his wounds. Oh wait. and then Catwoman approaches Penguin, and Penguin's all lusting after her and everything, and she's like, well, we need to get rid of Batman, and so they come up with a plan, and this is another scene where Penguin's not cooperating with her, so she's like takes this canary that he's got and shoves it in her mouth, and then he threatens her cat, so then she spits the canary back out. Yeah, she really put a live bird in her mouth and then spit it out.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
She's really committed to her role in this.
Yes, and I think it definitely shows, because she's really the breakout performance.
Oh yeah, she's wonderful.
It's mesmerizing. She almost steals every scene she's in.
Despite what I say about the one scene that just doesn't work for me, everything else she does in this movie is just fantastic. So then they have this whole plan. Oh, the Penguin kidnaps the tree lighter with a batarang. Because during the whole circus thing, that poodle, he's got like this remote control batarang.
Which is really cool. You can like program to hit whatever many people. It goes
beep, boop, beep, boop, boop. And it has like 3 little figures on there. And then he throws it and clunk, clunk. And then a poodle jumps up and grabs it and runs away. And then the lady with the poodle gets away. So
in the script, she's called Poodle Lady.
and so then that's how they frame Batman, by kidnapping the
Ice Princess.
The Ice Princess.
Who's like this beauty pageant whose whole job is to like, and there's even a goofy little scene where she's like, okay, so I go in, say hello, push the button, go and say hello. It's like practicing her lines or something in the mirror.
With the whole subplot of the tree lighting sequence, and she gets kidnapped, and what's on the scene of the crime? Batarang.
With blood on it.
With blood on it. And they're like... And then the Penguin reprimands the city for applauding Batman all the time.
Not using the police, a vigilante who's blah, blah, blah.
Oh, he's crazy. And then there's, at some point, he's out there with the Batmobile again because, well, he has a date with Selena Kyle first.
Yeah.
And then they see what's happening on the news or whatever, and they both come up with an excuse to get out of the house.
That's kind of a fun scene with just like, Alfred, tell her I got this. And then she goes like, Alfred, tell him I got this.
And Alfred's like, well, I guess I don't have to tell him anything. And so...
Oh, Alfred, he was one of the few consistent parts of the whole...
Michael Goff, all the way through all 4 movies.
And he's just...
And he's a great Alfred.
He's great. His version of Alfred, which I liked, is just kind of like he's been with Bruce a very long time. He just kind of very good at anticipating his needs.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what he wants, and he's just like, here, I got you this. Here, I got you this. Here, he's like, you don't even need to finish that sentence. I'm on it.
The best scene with him is, we talked about it in our other Batman special, is the scene where he's following him around and just picks up after Bruce, like, oh, he set down this cup on a ledge and I'll pick that up, and he signed something with a pen and just set it somewhere. I'll just pick this up and
just kind of put it here, put it there. It's almost like a dance.
Yeah, but anyway, they both leave, and so Batman is out fighting guys again, and some circus people break into his car and with some sort of remote control, and
they analyze it. They realize I can put some sort of device on it.
And so then when he drives to get out of there... So
basically, Batman is, after the Ice Princess, to try and save her. Looks like Batman has been framed for pushing the Ice Princess off a building. He flies off on his cool glider wings.
Yeah.
Catwoman, they have a bit of a fight. Catwoman falls into some kitty litter.
They throw the Ice Princess off. She gets thrown off, and he's up at the top of the building when she gets thrown off. So it looks like he's the one who actually kidnapped her and threw her down. And she lands on the button, and we get the tree lit again. It's actually lit a couple of times in this movie. It's just something bad happens every time.
Yeah.
So then he leaves. He has to get out of there, and Penguin's in his little trailer, and he's got like this kiddie ride,
cute little like
Batmobile kiddie ride that you would find in front of like a department store or something.
And the steering wheel is the bat symbol.
Yeah, and he takes control via remote control Batman's car, and then he starts spouting off like there's a video with the Batmobile
villain monologue.
I've been playing this city like a violin, blah blah.
You gotta admit, I played this city like a harp from hell.
Like a harp from hell, yeah, and all this, and so Batman pulls out his CD and puts it into a CD-ROM in the car, and records the whole conversation.
He's also trying to figure out what's going wrong with his car.
Well, his car gives a self-diagnosis as to where the remote control is, so he reaches underneath the car because he just kicks out a latch.
Yeah, he just like he kicks the floor through his car or whatever, and then reaches out, destroys the device.
Takes back control of his car and gets back home.
All while the cops are chasing him. It's a fun scene.
Yeah, and then the Penguin goes out to do his speech. He gets out of his trailer to go do a speech.
Like a campaign speech. And of course, Batman is on to him. Also, I like one of the things that so there's a short scene where Batman is kind of like researching what he really thinks is going on with the Penguin. Like how he says, I think he already knows his parents, and maybe the whole living in the sewer thing might actually be part of, not necessarily part of a gag, but part of his scheme. May not be entirely true. Like, I like to imagine that, like, maybe what we saw with him being thrown into the river isn't necessarily true. It's all just a fake story that maybe the Penguin crafted for himself.
And that could be. Maybe that's
because
why he knew who his parents were.
Yeah, it's almost like this, like, I think he knows who his parents is. And there's, like, talking about how, like, he's part of this, how long has he been with the circus gang?
Yeah, where did he find this circus gang?
Yeah.
And all that stuff. But, I mean, obviously, he has been with the Penguins a long time because he's got a really good rapport with them. But yeah, that is interesting. Like, everyone else is duped by...
It just raises too many questions.
Everybody's duped by the Penguin except for him. And then we get to... This is a great scene, too. So he gets back to the Batcave with his little CD-ROM disc and and the Penguin's given a speech.
Like a campaign speech.
A campaign speech on the town square with the Christmas tree, so we're still Christmassy. And Batman puts or Bruce Wayne puts the CD into a thing, and he patches in through to the city's sound
uses
system.
his bat computer, jams the frequency, changes the frequency.
It's one of those CD players that's just like a triangle that covers over it.
With the Bat logo on it.
With the Bat logo on it, and so you can see a lot of the disc. And so he plays the recording over the intercom system in town, and we've got like the DJ Bruce going wiki wiki wiki.
Yeah, he even is like it's a turntable, but
because he's got like I played this city like a heart from hell. I played this city. It's like so he's playing DJ Bruce back at the Batcave. And then everybody throws tomatoes and crap at...
It's like, why do they always have tomatoes ready? So this is...
I read somewhere that he did not want a stunt double. He actually got pelted with tomatoes and vegetables. And
all this heavy makeup and heavy clothing.
Yeah. And we get to... Max Shrek has this big Christmas party, and Selena Kyle goes because she wants to kill Shrek, and Batman and Bruce Wayne goes because he thinks Selena Kyle's going to be there, and he's got a thing for her, and so they're dancing. And
I really like this scene. This is kind of the big confrontation between both their two philosophies. It's like, don't do this. Come with me. We'll make everything better. We know he's bad. We'll get him. It'll be fine. But it's like this scene is almost heartbreaking because they both try really hard because they want to be with each other, but it just can't work.
Yeah, and then we also get the reveal of you're Batman. Because of something they said earlier, like underneath the mistletoe, the mistletoe can be poisonous if you eat it, blah blah blah. And I
like that scene.
And then when they get under the mistletoe at the party as Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle, then one of them says the opposite line, and then the other one says the other part of it. It's not what you do.
He doesn't go full Christian Bale.
Oh, what is the Christian Bale one? Where like
I'm Batman.
No, where like because it's the same kind of thing where he lets Rachel Dawes know that he's Bruce Wayne. It's not the actions or what. Now I can't even think of the phrase.
I think the term you're looking for is I'm not wearing hockey pads.
I'm not wearing hockey pads. But anyway, they both go, oh,
yep.
Are we supposed to fight? And I love the line, are we supposed to fight now? So he tries to stop her from, shooting Shrek and all that.
And then, of course, things get interrupted by the Penguin, who rises up on his duck boat.
Yeah, and he reveals his plan that he was looking up the firstborn sons of a bunch of wealthy families who were all going to be at this party, and said, I've got my circus guys going to kidnap all your firstborn sons and kill them, and he's at the party to take Max Shrek's firstborn son, Chip. And Shrek is like, no, take me instead, and so he does.
Yep.
He takes him down to the sewers, and then he sends an army
Kind
of
of his
penguins.
lair. Well, no, because then he's got like this big creepy train of all the babies, and then of course Batman.
Oh yeah, and
Batman
this
shows
is where
up.
the get off my train guy actually gets to ride a train.
Yeah, this is where Vincent Schiavelli just rides a train.
And he's good. He's like the child collector from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Kinda. Except less creepy.
Yeah, ironically less creepy. Yeah, so that's all going on, and then
And then, we get a note from Batman. It says, Dear Penguin, the children of whatever these families will not be able to attend your party. Sincerely, Batman.
and so then that's when the Penguin sends out an army of penguins with
Fine.
missiles on their back to just destroy the city
Because
it's
cool.
Yeah, and now he's a full-fledged bad guy. Everybody knows what he is, so he's like, fine, screw it, I'll just kill y'all. And the Batman jams the penguin signal and sends them back into the zoo, and then
keeps it there. Then, come up, big fight, and Selina shows up too, because she sneaks in.
Batman crashes into the giant penguin.
Batman crashes into the giant penguin.
The duck.
Okay.
The duck car.
The duck boat. The duck boat car.
Because the penguin gets in
they
the
fight.
duck boat.
Penguin fight. Penguin sneaks away, accidentally hits the missile launcher. So then all the missiles from the penguins launch and start destroying his circus lair.
And then he falls into the sewer again. And then they're down in
Then Catwoman sneaks in to try and go kill Shrek, because Shrek is still in this giant cage.
Yeah, and then Batman's down there, and then he reveals himself, and then we get Shrek.
line.
Shrek.
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne.
Why are you dressed up like Batman?
Why are you dressed like Batman? Bruce Wayne.
And then, of course, this great scene where we just finally get sort of the payoff of all the lives that we've been counting.
Yeah, because she's like, I was killed by you, I was killed by Batman, killed by Penguin, and then, so
she starts shooting, then he starts kind of shooting him.
He shoots her twice, and she's like 4, 5 still alive, and then
he keeps doing it.
And then 6, 7...
It's like
8 or whatever. I can't remember.
She gets to like where she has 2 left.
And then she's like, she's got 1 life left at the end, because then she goes
like, I've got 2 left. I think I'll save 1 for next Christmas. So and then of course Batman pleads with her. And I like this because this is kind of the one time where we see Batman almost disregard his persona and just be himself, which is extremely rare.
Yeah, because
he takes off his mask and he goes, Selina, please, we'll take him to the police. We'll do this. This is kind of the last confrontation of justice versus revenge.
Yeah.
And Selina makes her choice and says no. And her costume is all completely beat up. She's just all her mask is off. Her hair is all messed up. She's kind of fully gone into crazy mode.
Well, and that's the thing, is her costume kind of reflects like her unraveling.
Kind of as she unravels, her costume kind of gets more and more worn down. Stitches are missing, parts falling off.
Hair's like flinging out of the side of the mask, and it's just all disheveled, and like I said, it's unraveling just kind of like
she uses revenge, and then she shocks herself and Max Shrek.
She gives him an electric kiss, because she uses she stole a. This is a nice callback to earlier in the film. She stole a taser from the guy who attacked her earlier.
Yeah.
And then she uses that to exact her revenge on Shrek by holding onto a power line and then kissing Shrek with the taser in between them. It just fries both of them.
Yep, completes the circuit, and then they go.
And then
Batman is like, oh my gosh, she looks for her.
Penguin crawls out of the water and then falls over dead.
Yeah, I still like how Penguin goes, he sees Batman once, tries to take out the machine gun umbrella, then he just picks out the one with
I picked a cute one.
I picked a cute one. He's like, I'll be right there in a minute, Batman. And then he just kind of flops over dead, and then the penguins come up and sort of give him a weird sort of burial in the water.
Yeah, you're right. She does say something about saving her last life for next Christmas, because then at the end of the movie, because it's a Christmas movie, we have Bruce Wayne driving off in the back of the limo with Alfred driving,
and then he goes by an alley, and then he thinks he sees her shadow, goes over, just sees her cat.
Yeah.
Picks up the cat. It goes back inside. Then Alfred goes, Merry Christmas, Mr. Wayne.
And the last line in the movie is Bruce Wayne saying, Merry Christmas, Alfred. Goodwill toward men and women. And then we pan up, see the bat signal, and then Catwoman pops her head up.
Yep.
And then we're like, ooh, we get more Catwoman in the next movie.
Yeah.
No, we get crazy Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey.
And then we get that Catwoman spinoff eventually.
And I still have never seen that, and I don't know if I want to.
You know, it only took him till about 2004. So. And
apparently that movie has nothing to do with anything Catwoman lore. So
yeah, they kind of do their own thing, or at least they try. And
so,
certain makeup gives you like steel skin or something.
Yeah.
But that's another
like I said,
movie.
I haven't seen that one. I don't know if we should do that one as a giant size special.
I don't know. That may be to mention in passing.
Yeah. This movie, though, yeah, it is definitely a departure. It's just kind of an interesting interpretation of Batman and the Penguin and Catwoman, because it's different than the comics, but it still keeps those core character elements, but like plays them kind of differently.
It feels almost like a fairy tale.
Yeah.
A strange, dark fairy tale. You're not sure you learned a lesson, but something's just kind of off about this whole film. Maybe it's the music, and maybe it's the setting, maybe it's the production design. But I think it's something that just makes it very unique, even among Batman films, because it's the kind of movie that, like, if it's referenced visually, you get it immediately. Like, even in the Lego Batman movie, when the Penguin shows up with his rocket penguins, they're designed to look like they're out of Batman Returns.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the one Batman movie which you could like identify visual, like if you just show like a still or like 1 second of this film, it's like, that's Batman Returns.
Yeah.
It's very visually distinctive, but also the only other one that's very extremely visually distinctive is probably Batman and Robin with all the neon.
That's something else. We may get to that one, even though that's a bad movie. That may be a giant size special too.
Who knows?
Someday. Because
it's got ice puns.
It's got Arnold Schwarzenegger doing ice puns. Chill out.
And then Uma Thurman doing drag style, just almost over the top Catwoman.
That's a bizarre movie.
Rubber lips, Ivy. Your poison has no effect on me.
And it's got bat nipples.
Yes.
But
if it was me, I'd add more bat nipples.
We may get to that eventually.
Bat nipples everywhere.
But anyway, should check out Batman Returns. Highly recommended.
Definitely holds up a lot better than you remember it.
Yeah, and that's one thing, like I was saying, I never really revisited it because, like I said, I remembered liking it when it came out in the 90s. I would have been 1992. I think I was in middle school when this came out. And I watched it back then and probably watched it a couple times in middle school and high school. And then it wasn't one that I really had this inkling to go back to like I did with Batman 89. But now rewatching it, I've just got like this newfound appreciation for it. I love...
It's just so darn weird.
Yeah, and Danny DeVito, that's one thing that we didn't mention his performance a lot, but like he really gets into that character. And like we said, he stayed in character in between scenes and everything. And
just like the weird movements and noises he makes, almost like very kind of guttural, just like squeaks and squawks here. Just bizarre.
And he's just bizarre looking too. He's got these flipper hands. He's got these sharp teeth.
And this
black stuff drooling out of his mouth all the time.
Giant nose.
Yeah.
And then like this weird, greasy, creepy haircut.
Yeah.
It's like he's bald on top, then he's got kind of long, almost gross looking hair. Like it hasn't been given a haircut in a while.
And he's always walking around in like, it's kind of like this fat suit type thing with like this.
It's almost like these old long johns.
Yeah. He's walking around in long johns, like dirty long johns that he's probably been rolling around in the sewers forever with. And then
he's almost like a suit that looks like he got out of the garbage.
Yeah.
And a hat that doesn't quite fit right. It's just...
So his performance and the thing that's interesting about this movie too is that you don't really see Batman all that much in this.
It's not Batman's movie. It's the Penguin's movie and it's Catwoman's movie.
And Batman's
has like
kind
the
of a
least
peripheral
amount
character.
of Batman. Bruce has an arc. Batman necessarily doesn't.
Yeah, and I liked that he made that choice because Burton went into like this origin of these two characters, and he's like, I told the origin of Batman in the last movie. We don't need that. Now he just needs to be there to stop these guys. But if I don't put it, since I don't have to focus on his origin, I can focus more on these two origins and give you more backstory of these two characters and how they became this way. And I really appreciated that storytelling with that.
Yeah, some of the best Batman stories are the ones that aren't about him. Especially, I can think of a few episodes from Batman the Animated Series, which came out after this film. Stuff like Heart of Ice, which is just an episode it's a Batman episode, but it's all about, it gives a really good origin story and a reworking for Mr. Freeze. And then also like Mad Love, which is really it's kind of where Harley Quinn really becomes Harley Quinn before she was reworked in sort of this goofy anti-hero, which I also like.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and Michael Keaton's great. Michael Goff, who's done 4 Batman movies, like you said, the only consistent. I love him as Alfred.
Yep.
We got Pat Hingle back as Commissioner Gordon. He wasn't in as much.
He's in like one scene.
Yeah. There was no Billy D. Williams, Harvey Dent.
No Marlon Wayans contracted to be Robin. And when they switched to the Joel Schumacher era, they had to buy out both of their contracts.
Oh, that would have been an interesting movie.
That would have been Burton's third, which I think would have gone under the working title Batman Continues.
Yeah, something like that. Like, yeah, there was supposed to be some third movie, right?
But, it was obviously never made. But there was a proposal and even some like artwork made for a Batman 89 comic book, which would have continued the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman story.
You know what I want is they're doing a Beetlejuice sequel and Michael Keaton's coming back for it. I want a third Tim Burton Batman movie with an older Batman, and maybe we could do a Batman Beyond type thing with McGinnis.
Yeah, Batman Beyond would be really cool, even if it's just briefly see it, because Batman Beyond is about an older Batman in the future, kind of like this weird cyberpunky possible future where he's getting too old for this. He's got his dog, Alfred's gone, it's just him, Robin's gone. It's just him being grumpy in a suit. And then, of course, he gets discovered by Terry McGinnis, who is then trained to be this new Batman. Got a really cool suit, some cool villains, definitely did its own thing. It's a great show. I'd seek it out if you can. But yeah, Batman, I would love a Batman Beyond movie because I think that would work very well because it's visually distinctive and overall just a lot of fun with these cool futuristic gadgets and all this other stuff.
Yeah. So that's our Christmas movie.
Also, I think Michael Keaton now would be better suited as Batman than Michael Keaton back then.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got much more mature look to him. I think would be give us more of a harder edge.
Yeah, because I loved him as the Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming. I thought he was great.
He's very intimidating.
One of my favorite scenes that year in all movies was like, it wasn't my favorite movie of the year, but as much as I loved it, but it had one of my favorite scenes was him driving Peter Parker and his daughter to the prom or whatever, and she gets out, and then he just has that conversation with him, implying that he knows he's Spider-Man.
And then never raises his voice.
Yeah, and just the way he talks to him without and says, "I know you're Spider-Man," without saying, "I know you're Spider-Man," and just kind of calmly just says, "You don't want to stop me right now." It's such a great scene.
Yeah.
Just because of the way Michael Keaton plays it.
He definitely really works that.
He's one of those that can act with his facial expressions.
Oh yeah, he's good.
And his eyes. So, but yeah, we want Michael Keaton back. Michael Keaton, come back to play Batman again.
We'll give you Warner Bros. Just give him a dump truck full of money.
Yeah, just do it.
And make a Batman Beyond movie. It would be really cool. It can do its own thing. And then it's also visually distinctive and thematically distinctive from Zack Snyder.
Yeah. So, anyway, go watch some Batman Returns for Christmas. You should revisit it if you haven't in a while. It does hold up and it is fun if you're into Batman. It held up better than I was anticipating it.
The performances are great and Danny Elfman works overtime.
He does. It's such a great score.
Oh yeah.
All of the different themes with Batman, the Bat, the Cat, and the Penguin. So anyway, until next time, Merry Christmas, Gotham.
And Batman smells and the Joker got away.
Hey,